Presidente Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, mi amigo y hermano,
my friend and brother, Foreign Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning.
It's fitting that I echo the sentiments of previous speakers in condemning the U.S. embargo against Cuba and sanctions against Venezuela. Equally fitting, it's an expression of regrets and solidarity to our brothers and sisters in the Kingdom of Morocco and Libya in the aftermath of recent tragedies in those two countries. Antigua and Barbuda expresses gratitude to Cuba for hosting this G77 and China summit, focusing on the role of science, technology, and innovation in addressing current developmental challenges. The location of this meeting in the Caribbean underlines and underscores the region's capacity for leadership, thought, and creativity within the global community. Mr. Chairman, there can be no doubt that inequality and inequity in global trade, finance, and technology is growing, and that for the most part, the gap between rich nations and poor ones is widening. This inequality and inequity, especially in access to affordable finance, to address the fundamental causes of underdevelopment, threatens the ability of small developing states, such as mine, to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and more broadly, to accelerate the rate of growth in our economies. We are pleased today that Antigua and Barbuda enjoys a rate of growth of 8%, and that with the exception of the pandemic periods, our country would have achieved annual growth rates of 5% since 2015. However, we are keenly aware that our rate of growth is not due to the main international financial institutions, such as the IMF and World Bank, both of which have disqualified us from access to concessional financing because of the outmoded per capita criterion. It is a flawed criterion because it fails to take into account our remoteness as an island far from markets and supplies. This remoteness means that our very unavoidable importation of almost everything we consume, including food, is far more expensive after the costs of transportation and insurance are added. Because of the worldwide logistical problems of production, storage, and shipping that still linger as consequences from the pandemic, the costs of our imports are today even higher. In these circumstances, wages chase prices. And as a democratic nation whose values are rooted in human and civil rights, we recognize that wages have to keep parity with the rate of imported inflation. If we do not, the obvious consequence would be the expansion of poverty in our society. We do not regard the application of per capita income as fair. Consider Antigua and Barbuda a small island state with all the vulnerabilities of underdevelopment and a limited range of economic activity. As a result of the policies of the IMF and World Bank, coupled with the aid policies of the European Union, my country has been forced to borrow money on the global financial markets to finance our development and to cater to the welfare and well-being of our citizens. The Paris Club, too, has been unhelpful, rejecting our every plea for debt forgiveness, debt restructuring, or debt rescheduling. Yet much of our debt, they very well know, is a result of constant need to rebuild after persistent and extreme weather events arising from climate change, to which we are one of the very least contributors. Our carbon footprint in the world is so tiny, so negligible, that it is not even recorded in the official global records. The unfairness of the policies of the international financial institutions are therefore palpable. Let me add that were it not for the assistance of the People's Republic of China, whose rates of lending are much more favorable, my country's development in all sectors would have stagnated. We express our gratitude, therefore, to the People's Republic of China for their favorable lending rates and of the understanding of the needs of developing countries. We anticipate the strengthening of the new development bank as an alternative to the Bretton Woods institutions. And this isn't a simple or simply an ideological stance, but a real call for more inclusive financial architecture. Mr. Chairman, climate change and its impacts are the greatest common threat confronting all mankind, especially small island states. Consequently, we join with other nations in insisting on effective responses to this urgent threat, especially through scaling up the provision of financing and capacity building. Earlier this week, my country, Antigua and Barbuda, and Tuvalu, as the co-founders of the Commission of Small States on Climate Change and International Law, began proceedings before the International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, seeking an advisory opinion. We are of the firm view that small states need authoritative scientific answers on this critical issue, but so too do the major contributors to climate change. There must be a clear guidance on the consequences of their actions. This advisory opinion from ITLAS can serve as a benchmark, as a guidepost for international actions going forward. We remain hopeful for a clear advisory opinion from ITLAS that will guide the actions of all with regard to the damage that is being done to nations and the need for compensation. Chairman, colleagues, as a drought-prone country which has to manufacture water through the use of expensive desalination and reverse osmosis processes, we know all too well the impact of water scarcity and the enormous cost of manufacturing. We, however, have no choice. But we believe that access to technology at an affordable price would help us enormously if only we allowed access to concessional financing, which is a clear imperative in this case. Therefore, we readily join all nations here at this meeting in calling for the transfer of the necessary technologies and access to existing ones, including in the areas of food and nutrition, health, water, sanitation and energy, in order to improve the quality of life and, more importantly, to sustain it. In conclusion, I invoke the spirit, genius, and practical teachings of El Comandante en Jefe Fidel Castro Ruz in a quote which encapsulates the very theme and purpose of our mission here at the summit. Of all citizens to health, education, work, food, security, culture, science, and well-being are the same rights we proclaimed when we began our struggle, in addition to those which emerge from our dreams of justice and equality for all the inhabitants of this world. End of quote. Colleagues, Mr. Chairman, our shared and common struggles continue, and our unity is our strength. It is imperative, therefore, that the countries of the South collaborate for better global terms. Let our actions speak louder than our words. I thank you.